Hey guys, so I think it's kind of fun to talk about like dealing with the police in a different country because it can always be a little interesting. Um, so just a couple things in general, and then I want to talk about that in like a current time. So we'll talk about that. Um, so before, I've actually sent text messages to the police to report a crime. This wasn't like a violent crime or anything. It was somebody got hit, low speed car accident. There were some cars that were trying to exit an apartment complex, and the only way they could turn onto the main road was to turn right. But there was this line of cars that were trying to turn right onto the main road, and there was no cross traffic, so they weren't moving because there were pedestrians crossing in front of them. One of the cars didn't see that. They just saw that there were no cars coming from cross traffic. Is that called cross traffic? And because they're not crossing, there's no cars coming, and they weren't moving. They didn't see the pedestrians because they were a few cars behind. So they jerked out of the line and sped around to basically go on the other side of the car that was waiting to turn right, and then just turn right around them to get onto the main road. And they ended up hitting a person on a bicycle. So what pissed me off was that this guy that was hit was a bit older, maybe 50s or 60s, and he's a bit dazed on the ground, and the driver is just like kind of yelling, commanding at him. You're fine, don't call the police. So I wasn't really sure what to do. I didn't know the word for car accident in Korea, so I wasn't really sure. And I was on my way to work and I didn't want to be late. So I took some pictures of it so they would know that, hey, somebody's taking pictures of this. Maybe you should report it to the police, because if you don't, you try to pretend nothing happened, you're going to probably get in more trouble. But then I went to contact one of the apartment complex guards, and so he went out to help. But I thought, why not? So I texted the information to 112. 112 is the non-emergency police line. 119 is the emergency police line. Like somebody's bleeding out, there's a fire, something like that, you would call 119. 112 is things like I lost my wallet, I can't find it. Wanting to report like a missing person, I guess you would call 112. So I called 112 for this. Or I sent a text, and I just sent it. I sent the photo and said there was an accident. And so they replied in Korean, and I had sent it in English. They replied in Korean, where was it? And I thought, how do I describe this place? And I thought, oh wait, I can just send a screenshot of a map. So I sent them that, and then they said, thank you, we'll send a police officer out there. And again, this is all in Korean. Like, nobody needed any translation, because if they didn't understand something, they could run it through a translator app. And same thing with me. If I didn't understand something, I could run it through a translator app. And then they ended, if there's an emergency, please contact our emergency line. And then a few minutes later, a police officer has been dispatched. And then a few minutes later, a police officer has arrived on scene. Cool, I got some update. That was really cool. Another time dealing with the police, I would say this is more a general thing. It wasn't a personal thing dealing with the police. It was a discussion I was having with someone about how Korea is able to keep the crime rate down, and how some of our movies, like Taken, don't really make sense because of how Korea is set up. So all the CCTV in Korea is connected. It's government CCTV. If you want to put up your own CCTV for your own business, that's totally fine. But the government controls closed circuit television, CCTV, or security cameras. You might be more familiar with that term. That means if I'm in the United States and I own a small business and I have my own security camera set up, somebody comes and robs my store, I can show the police that security camera footage, and that's kind of it. Once they leave the premises, they have no idea where this person went. However, with the CCTV setup in Korea, once they leave a business, you can track where they go because there's CCTV on different streets and so forth. You can actually see where they're going. And so that's why a movie like Taken wouldn't make any sense. You would just contact the police. The other problem that I've had to run into before is that the United States police officers do not talk to each other at all. If I want to get information in another town. Like I have to requisition information, and they have to requisition it to me. Even the U.S. Marshals are still using things that are based on like physical paperwork, and they have to talk to each other, and they have to request things formally and all this other stuff. Whereas in Korea, there's just like a national police. That's it. They're just police officers. And if those police officers need to catch a criminal that went through several provinces, they can just do it. They can just look at all the CCTV footage. So it's pretty helpful. So that might explain why there's a lot less violent crime in Korea. Of course, there's a problem with reporting, and domestic violence for a long time wasn't considered a police matter. It was considered a personal matter, so you couldn't really call the police. And if you heard about it, even still today, you don't really contact the police. I did try to call the police. We saw this child. We were after work. A few of us went to a park to just have some drinks, because drinking in public is legal here. And we saw this older man, in his 50s, drunk, just super drunk, but he had these two little kids, and one of the little boys didn't have any pants on. This might be something you might see in like a rural area, but this wasn't a rural area. In fact, it was so weird that some mother who was with her daughter, pushing her in like a stroller, she made her daughter get up and take off her leggings. The daughter was wearing like a skirt with leggings, and so the mom made her take off the leggings to give it to the little boy so he could cover up. This is how obviously wrong this was. So we were watching it, we were just thinking, do we call the police? And we're trying to like look up words for possible child predator and all these words, that we just didn't know in Korean. And there were these two middle school students, and they spoke English. So they said, hey, are you guys wanting to call the police about these guys? Yes, so we did. And they called for us. And then when they hung up the phone, they were so mad. They said, the police said maybe it's their dad, the kid's father, so they're not going to send an officer out. What? The idea that it might be the kid's father, they're not even going to attempt to investigate it. So it's just kind of shows you the difference between if you would have committed a violent crime that's caught on CCTV versus somebody trying to report a potential family weirdness that didn't even get investigated. Not even where are you? We'll take your name. Can you send us a photo? Nothing. It was just, well, we don't want to embarrass them just in case it's the dad. So the teenagers were really pissed, and we were really pissed, and we were just both really pissed, and we were just mad. So this next thing that I have to deal with is a attempted phishing scam. So there's this thing in Korea that if you want to import something, you need to use a customs clearance number. If you're a Korean citizen, you are given a customs clearance number. If you are not a Korean citizen, you have to use your passport number. You can also apply for one, but it's very difficult to get. So just use your passport number. Using your passport number or the Korean's customs clearance number, you have to put it into the website if you're ordering anything foreign. You can't even pay for the product without putting that information in, because those companies, those foreign companies, they know that if they're allowing shipment to South Korea, it requires that. So any website that ships to South Korea, it's just going to ask you for, your name, address, phone number, and customs clearance number. And then it'll say, for foreigners, please use your passport and your birth date. And that's what you use. So I get this message saying that I had ordered something from a German website, and they needed that, and that it had arrived or something, and in order to ship the product, no, they hadn't arrived. In order to ship the product, they needed my customs clearance number. And they said it all in Korean. I've had 2 problems with customs, and both times because they knew the name is obviously not a Korean name on the package, they contacted me in English with an English speaker, because they just assumed I couldn't speak Korean. They just figured this is just the easiest way to do it. So there was one issue where a friend had sent me caviar, and they needed to know, are these like viable fish eggs? And I was just like, no, it's a food product, it's shelf stable, they're totally useless if I were to use them to breed, they're just a food. Okay, so they sent that. Another time, my name had gotten ripped off or cut off, because my name is actually really, really long. So that had gotten cut off, and I ended up, they had contacted me via KakaoTalk, which that's what the post office does, and that's what customs does. They gave me a government number. The government numbers here are all 4 digits. For example, if I want to call immigration, it's 1345. They gave me a 4-digit number to call, and they said, we just need this information from you because it doesn't match the information that we have on your package. Cool. So once I explained to them what happened, they said, okay, that makes sense. Your name is very long. Of course, it got cut off. Great. Okay. Well, these people sent me a text message through my phone number, not KakaoTalk. It's not from official government, anything. It's just somebody's cell phone number. And they send it to me asking me for my customs number in Korean. They refer to me as customer, like customer in a respectful way. It's got a suffix to it. They didn't use my name. And so I said, well, I didn't order anything from a German site. They said, well, maybe you ordered it from a Korean site such as Naver, Coupang, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. They don't know. And I said, no, I didn't order anything German made, from a German website, whatever. And I'm replying in English. So they know that that's what I'm speaking English right now. So that's what they know, that I'm most comfortable communicating that way. And then they switch to English and they tell me to send my ARC number. That's the only time that they realized I was a foreigner and I wouldn't have a customs clearance number. Again, if they were sending me my actual product, they would see my name on there in English, this obviously not Korean name. They wouldn't have attempted to try to get my customs clearance number because I'm obviously not a Korean citizen. Or you can guess that I'm, obviously not a Korean citizen. And so I had mentioned to them, so they wanted my ARC. My ARC number is my alien registration card. Your ARC number would be equivalent to like a social security number. You don't use that for customs clearance. You don't. You use your passport and your birth date. You do not use your ARC. So the fact that they were asking for that tells me they didn't have any idea how foreigners actually receive their package. And so I said, well, can you tell me what the product is? They said they didn't know. Okay. So I was trying to, give them the benefit of a doubt, and and I told them, maybe you should contact the customer through the website or use the email that they provided because I think that this is a wrong number. I think they might have made a mistake and you made a mistake or something and it's the wrong number. And they replied back, please send your ARC, otherwise we don't know how to deal with this product. And I said, I didn't order anything, I'm not expecting anything, this is not for me. And then they said, send us your exact name with the correct capitalization and correct spacing and your ARC number. And that was the last I thought I heard of them. So I thought this is very suspicious because first they tell me they don't know my name, and they won't tell me the name on the account, they won't tell me the name that it's supposed to be receiving it, but now they're asking for my name. I mean, how could they verify that? And again, why do they need my ARC number? The ARC number is not used for that. So the thing with the customs is anything you order overseas, you need a customs clearance number. It has to be matching your name, but you can send it to any address. The reason is because a lot of younger people will send things for their parents. So if you have a elderly parent that doesn't know how to use stuff, usually a child, their child, my age child, they'll order something for the parent through their information but send it to their parent's address. Or in a lot of cases, like me, I just got a bunch of stuff from iHerb. We order it to work because most of us are at work during the middle of the day. So we order stuff to work so we can be there to receive and sign for the package if needed. So they don't really care what address you use. It's just the name and the customs clearance number or the passport number has to match up. Therefore, if they're receiving drugs, they can send it to any address. They can send it to a dummy address, and a lot of them do. They'll send it to an apartment room that isn't used, but they know to check for when something's coming, and it's pretty shady stuff. So I reported it, or I tried to. I didn't do it officially because I don't know which department to do it to, but I do have 2 contacts in the National Police Force, so I just kind of texted him and said, hey, I want to report something if possible, and they were just busy over the weekend, so I'm going to contact them again, and I'll let you guys know what happens. But it's pretty interesting, I think. I've never been phished. So apparently what happens, and I only found this out because I sent it to all my foreign friends. Hey, here's what I received, here's the phone number. Don't give them any information, blah, blah, blah. This happened again to a friend of mine a couple years ago. And so I guess there's a person who works at one of the companies. Maybe they work at multiple companies. But they work at Gmarket, which would be the equivalent to Amazon. And whenever you put in some kind of order or something, they can get your phone number, and then they don't have any other information about you. So this is the first time it's happened. I've ordered stuff from Gmarket quite a few times in Korea. This is the first time it's happened to me. So it's not like a common thing. I've never heard anybody warn anybody about it when I searched for the phone number, and also the landline that they gave me, which again was not a government number. They just gave me a phone number. So none of that yielded any results when I tried to search it on Google, but yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. So we'll see how this phishing experience goes and how well the Korean system can take them down. We'll see, because sometimes I guess if people do like a burner phone, that might be kind of hard to track. So I'll see if there's any way to get, I don't know, maybe extra information, like, well, where can I meet you, or can I send you a fax or something like that, something more physical. So hopefully that'll work. We shall see. So I just thought that was kind of a fun thing. I don't know, I like the government workings and stuff, so to me that kind of stuff is kind of fun. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.